After, a strong woman is both soft and powerful. She is both practical and spiritual. You are a strong woman, and
You got me walking by myself. I hope you understand. I just want to be your loving man. I love you, yes, I love you with all my heart and soul. I would mistreat you for my way to go. You know I love you, baby. You know it's true. Give you all of my love, and little girl, now what more you want me to do? You got me walking by myself. I hope you understand. I just want to be your loving man. Right, shake it, right, baby. You know I love you, baby. You know it's true. Give you all of my love, and little girl, now what more you want me to do? You got me walking by myself. I hope you understand. I just want to be your loving man. Well, all right. You know I love you, baby. You know it's true. Give you all of my love, and little girl, now what more you want me to do? You got me walking by myself. I hope you understand. I just want to be your loving man. You got me walking by myself. You got me talking about someone else. I just love you by myself. I don't want no one else. 'Cause I love you, baby. I love you for myself. Your love is real, baby. I can feel it in my soul. Your love is real, baby. I can feel it in my soul. When I think you're gonna leave me, baby, you know that make my blood run cold. All about midnight, baby, that's when I get my thrill. Along about midnight, baby, that's when I get my thrill. When I think you're gonna leave me, baby, you know in my eyes that bring tears.
Mackel from the City Attorney's Office. As you could see, we are missing our chair. We're missing our chair and our vice chair. At this time, I would ask the commissioners if I could have a motion in order to elect a person to act as chair this evening.
I elect Commissioner Sutton as chair this evening.
I'm sorry,
I elect Commissioner Sutton as chair this evening.
is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sutton, do you accept the request to act as chair this evening?
I request this nomination, or I'll accept this nomination.
Okay, thank you so much. Can I have a vote on the motion, please? All in favor of? Thank you so much. Mr. Chair, if you could proceed with the meeting?
Thank you very much. I would like to call to order the Wednesday, July 14th, 2021 public hearing for the City of Tampa Architectural Review Commission. Welcome, everyone. I am Stephen Sutton, acting chair of this commission. If you are here to present a project, you will have a limited time to make your presentation, so we suggest being thorough and concise. When coming to the microphone, you will need to identify yourself, your relationship to the project. The commissioners will not ask any questions during your presentation. Your project should be presented in the following order: site plan, elevations, architectural details, wall sections. After which staff presents their report. Then we will ask for public comment. Following your presentation, commissioners will be asking questions in the same order as your presentation. Please state and spell your name clearly if you are here to speak for or against a project. Your time will be limited to 3 minutes, so take time now to summarize your comments because 3 minutes go by very quickly. Following public comment, the applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal, after which the public hearing will be closed. The only comments which will be allowed after the public hearing is closed will be in response to any questions from the commissioners. The commissioners will then discuss the case and then make their decision based upon the city ordinance, chapter 27 of the city's zoning code, the design guidelines, the Secretary of Interior standards, historic preservation development review comments, and testimony given here at this public hearing. The ARC can only act on items that are within our specific jurisdictional responsibility. Owners and agents are independently responsible to obtain any appropriate permits and/or approvals. If you haven't already done so, please silence all cell phones. I would like at this point in time to introduce the other commissioners present here today, and I would like to begin here on my left.
Shauna Boyd, interior designer.
Brent Taylor, building contractor.
Dan Myers, architect.
Now I'd like to introduce our staff present today. We have Ron Vila, Elaine Lund, Beverly Juzak, and Camara Pettis Mackel.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ron Vila, I'm staff with Historic Preservation. Under announcements, we have none reflected on today's agenda, so we'll move into ex parte communication and conflicts of interest. Our legal advisor, Camara Pettis Mackel, will address the board.
Good evening again, Commissioners. Will the Commissioners please state whether or not they have any conflicts of interest regarding any of the items that are listed on the agenda?
None.
I have
None.
Thank you. Additionally, will the Commissioners please state whether or not they've had any ex parte communications regarding any of the items that are on the agenda?
None.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners, for that. Moving forward, the next item on the agenda is a swear-in. Everybody that wishes to testify, please stand up and raise your right hand, including staff.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be providing this evening is the truth and nothing but the truth?
We shall proceed to our first item on our agenda, which is ARC 21339, and TACPA 2106.
And that is for the address of 2105 West Deco Street. That is in the Hyde Park Historic District. Currently, there's a vacant parcel there that's referred to as Collins Park. The request this evening is for a recommendation for a comp plan amendment from the R10 zoning classification to an R/OS. Moving to the brief photo presentation. On the monitor, the area in question is highlighted in the green shaded area. It's at the apex of Deco, which is a one-way street, and Southview. As a reference point, you have Howard Avenue to the west. In 1929, there was no vertical structure on this parcel, and it currently remains in that condition. This is an overhead shot showing the area in question. Obviously is in the shaded area. Once again, you have Deco, and then the apex of Deco and Southview, and then Howard Avenue that runs north and south to the west. This is looking from the apex back. This is Deco, and this is Southview. It's just a small pocket park. It's always functioned in that capacity. It's just they're trying to correct the future land use from the R10 to the R, which is recreational/OS, which is open space. This is looking in internal. There is one park bench there. It does have perimeter sidewalks all around, and then just a natural grass in the middle with some shade trees. This is the most affected area. This is the structure that is at that apex as well. This is a high-end craftsman style home. This is looking across the street. This is the park in question here. This is looking to the north. This is Southview and some of the fabric on Southview. And then this is Deco. This is the one-way street that I mentioned, and some of the fabric. These are contributing structures that circle the park. That concludes the brief photo presentation. At this time, I'll have Danny Collins with the Planning Commission address the board.
Good evening, this is Danny Collins. I'm with the Hillsborough County Planning Commission. I've been sworn in. This is Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2106. It's Collins Park. It's in the South Tampa Planning District. It's within the Hyde Park Urban Village, and it's within the historic Hyde Park neighborhood. You are seeing this plan amendment tonight because it is within that Hyde Park Historic District. Just a quick background, there are several parks throughout the city that are incorrectly designated on the future land use map. They either have a residential category, an industrial category, or a commercial category. So a few years ago, City Council initiated a publicly initiated amendment. They wanted us to look into these parks and correctly recognize them through the recreation open space designation. So each park that is listed on the this park is listed on the City of Tampa's dedicated park list, and this site would be recognized through that recreation open space designation. Here's the adopted future land use map. Again, this is the subject site. It's outlined in this black color. It's currently recognized under the residential 10 future land use designation, which allows 10 dwelling units per acre of land, so it would allow up to 10 dwelling units per acre of land. There is residential 10 to the north, and then there's residential 35 to the south on the south side of Deckel, and then one block to the west of the subject site on Howard Avenue. We have some CMU 35, which is a mixed-use future land use designation. This is the proposed future land use map, which would recognize the site under that recreation open space designation. Essentially, this would remove the potential of any residential or non-residential development on the subject site, and would add an extra layer of protection to the park. This amendment went to the Planning Commission, and they found it consistent with the comprehensive plan as it promoted recreation and open space opportunities throughout the city. Based on those considerations, the Planning Commission found the request consistent with the City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan. This will proceed to City Council prior to this recommendation, and I'm available for any questions.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ron Vila, staff with Historic Preservation. On page 3 of your staff report, under Chapter 2795, your duties and powers, A to H, are to follow. It states, with regards to the application for rezoning, changes to land use classifications, or comprehensive plan amendment, to review the recommend reasonable land use changes to the extent necessary to preserve the historic integrity and appearances. Staffs find that this is consistent with the objectives delineated in the City of Tampa Code of Ordinances with Chapter 27/95 A to H. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ron. The floor is now open for public comment. Seeing none and hearing none, we will proceed. Commissioners, please. Dan, would you begin? Any questions?
I have no questions.
I have none.
I have no questions.
I have no question as well. Applicant, you are allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal.
I don't have anything else to add. So.
Thank you very much, sir. At this point in time, this public hearing for this item is closed. The commissioners will discuss the case. Would you like to begin?
Make a motion?
I would like to move to recommend City Council approve ARC 21-339 for the property located at 2105 West Deacle Street.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Kamaria Pettismaka from the City Attorney's Office. Can you, when you're saying the case, can you say the ARC 21-339/TA/CPA 2106? I'm sorry.
Sure. Okay, we'll start that again. Move to recommend City Council approve ARC 21-339/TA/CPA 21-06 for the property located at 2105 West Deacle Street for the proposed rezoning from R10 to ROS with no conditions, for the reason that this change makes the continued use of this as public open space encoded into the city's zoning map.
I second the motion.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? None?
Good evening, Commissioners. Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. Moving on down the agenda to item ARC 21-241. This is an application in the Tampa Heights Historic District at 401 East Amelia Avenue for new construction of a duplex with site improvements. This was continued from a prior public hearing. And I'll just go through the photo presentation and then ask the agent to make his presentation. If we move to the photos here. The subject site is in the Tampa Heights Historic District. You see the arrow in green pointing to the property. It is at the intersection of Amelia Avenue and Central Avenue. This is looking at the, Amelia and Jefferson Avenue. This is looking at the subject site here on the 1920s Sanborn map. You can see that there was a structure there at that time. However, the structure that is currently on the site, there are photos of that structure in your staff report, is not the same as the one that was there in the 1920s. This is the present-day aerial of the subject site. You can see Amelia Avenue running to the north and Jefferson Street at the cross street to the west. This is looking south at the property, so you're looking at the north face of the existing non-contributing structure on the site. This is looking at the property from Jefferson Street facing east, so you're looking at the west side of the structure. And then this is a little further down Jefferson, looking at the existing access to the side for the existing driveway. So this is the south end of looking at the south end of the lot. And then from the alley behind the house on the south side of the property, looking north toward the existing structure. So the existing structure is a 1955 building that puts it outside the period of significance for the Tampa Heights Historic District, and it is a non-contributing structure again. Going back to Amelia Avenue, if we head just to the east, this is the apartment building that is located directly adjacent to the subject site. Across the street to the north, this house, which has been recently rehabilitated. This is a view looking east along Amelia, and the view looking west. Looking west again, you can see the church that's located directly across Jefferson Street. And then this is a view of the alley behind the house. So we're looking east along the alley behind the subject on the south side of the lot. And this is a view of the interior of the lot, I believe. Or actually, yeah, looking to the south. There we go. This is the rear of the adjacent structure next on the east side of the house. This is looking east further into the alley, and then looking west out of the alley toward Jefferson Street. That concludes the photo presentation, so at this time I'll ask the agent to come forward.
Thank you, Elaine.
Good evening. Ralph Schuler with JVB Architect at 2401 North Jefferson Street.
James Falcon, one of the owners of the property.
So I know we were continued in May. We made some significant changes, and we discussed these changes with the ownership and staff, and we've come back and I think hopefully have a project that is going to be very well received by you. And just to refresh everyone's memory, this is again a duplex. The site plan looks like this. The existing building originally was here and faced Amelia. We were proposing to obviously keep that orientation with a duplex on each side facing one on the east and one on the west side with alley access from the rear. The basic floor plan has not changed, although we did make some minor modifications to the front porch, but the dimensions of the porch are the same. Just a little closer up on that. We have a 10-foot front setback, which is similar to what the existing building was and less than, I'm sorry, the adjacent property to the east has a larger setback. We're lot averaging. The second floor real quick, and a roof plan. So, let's get in. Previously, we came with a more modern stucco design. The bulk and scale and massing is very similar, except now we've gone to a more traditional craftsman and frame vernacular design. We've changed the windows, before we had some muttons, some 4/4, 6/6 windows. We've changed all those to just 1/1, simple, single and double hung windows. We've changed to a dimensional shingle roof, which we had previously a standing seam metal roof on the first floor porch here, but we've created all of that to become all synonymous with a dimensional shingle roof. Have exposed rafter tails. We've treated our gable ends with board and batten, and also some venting details on the front, and then some double columns on the front that we've changed those details also. On the main elevation to the west, which is on Jefferson Street here, similar detailing again with exposed rafter tails, hardy board siding, 5.5-inch trim boards, 3.5-inch trim around all the windows, and then again similar detailing on each of the gables. We've retained this little low wall where we have our patio, and we've added, as part of the comments last time, a window, double window here on the west side that faces Jefferson Street, and we have a stucco foundation with the skirt board on the bottom. On the east elevation, which is facing an interior lot, we do not have the extra window in the garage, but all other windows are in the same locations. And then on the rear, facing the alley, which is also our vehicular access, some period appropriate garage doors, a couple more windows again that were presented previously, and then the same shingle roof. This is a section to the front porch. We have a 312 pitch roof for the porch versus a 612 pitch for the rest of the structure. We are proposing an elevated stem wall on the first floor, CMU to the first floor, and then frame above. This is a gable end. We would have, again, some venting on the gable end, some beadboard softening, which I'll have a detail of that. On this one, so we have 18-inch overhangs with 5/8 plywood sheathing everywhere within 3/8 plywood beadboard sheathing. Actually, we'd use hardy board because again, we're trying to keep as much of the exterior hardy board as possible on the underside, and then hardy board trim details around. We're proposing vinyl impact windows. I have some pictures of those, and then some typical details. A typical window head detail where you have hardy casing and some metal flashing, and we are proposing a 2x6 wood wall with the window set back, since we are proposing a window that is slightly more modern. So therefore, as we've previously done, we're setting that window back to give it that a little bit deeper reveal, and that would be the same on the first and second floor. The window sill itself would be this, and then the jamb, again with hardy casement and hardy board siding, and a jamb extension. Door jambs, pretty straightforward. And then when we do have double windows, we have a double window where we have a thickened casement between the two windows, period appropriate. And then corner detail, typical corner detail of a hardy board corner with hardy board siding. The window we're proposing is a Sierra Pacific single hung all vinyl window. Oh, it would be a impact window. Similar to what's shown on the elevation, this is a 3/4 light entry door. That entry door would have hardware similar to this, and all the hardware would be this black or oil rub bronze. Exterior wall sconce, which is shown several places. A dimensional shingle roof with dark gray. This is an inspirational photo of what the rear carriage style garage door would be. And then I do have a few renderings, or I would call them more massing study. This was done by my client for some, so they're not exactly right, but I just wanted to give you an idea. There's some details here that aren't perfect, but it gives the overall massing and feel of the project. Overhangs are too big here and here, but you get the idea. Here, trying to give you what the scale portion of that is, and then the rear. With that, I think that concludes my presentation, and I'll take questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Staff, do you have a report for us on this?
Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation Staff. Staff finds this application consistent with the Tampa Heights Design Guidelines. There is a pending design exception application that is running concurrent to this project, and I would appreciate it if the applicant can speak a little bit on what's being requested through that. And you note that the approval of the site plan would be contingent upon the approval of the design exception application. And that's all I have. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.
Would you like me to speak to that?
I think this would be an appropriate time for that, sir.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
All right, yeah, I apologize. We spoke about it extensively previously, and I forgot to talk about it this time. So the front lot averaging is consistent with what we've done previously. Now zoning is waiting for you guys to approve the project before they'll approve that. The second item, I think, is the location of our, let me get the site plan, of our, what do we call it? Here we go, AC units here. So we're showing AC units behind us, a screen masonry wall here, and this has to be a minimum distance, I believe, of 7 feet per zoning, but we're asking for a waiver for that. And then this project adjacent is at 5 feet. I had another example. I apologize I didn't bring it this time of what the averages of the other lots were, and 10 feet is consistent. And then Elaine, I apologize, I forgot what the third item was.
Was there something regarding the, was it the backup distance? Is that still part of the project?
Yeah, I know, all right. So transportation, technically, we're supposed to have a fifth visitor space. So this just turning radius here, we have a 16-foot platted alley. So we need to, by transportation standards, a 26-foot turning radius before you can start to have a legal parking space. So we have 4 legal parking spaces, which is, in a single-family house, all you need is 2 per side, but because it's considered multifamily, we have a 0.25 visitor parking requirement, which of course we all know there's 4 parking spaces here and behind there that would have really 8, but by technical standards, they would not be considered a legal parking space for these spaces here, so I've asked for a waiver for that.
And those are my waivers.
Thank you, sir. Is there any public comment for this? Please come forward.
I was a little confused by that. I know this is the second hearing. Transportation found the previous site plan inconsistent with 27-283.7 subset 7 subset I. Basically, we didn't think it was feasible for the visitor parking space to have the required 24-foot backup, of which the 16-foot alley is part of the 24 feet. They needed an additional 8 feet, and I think they fell 42 inches short, I think is what it comes out to, 3'8" or something. So it's single family attached. It's required to have 0.25 parking spaces per unit. So we objected on the basis it's new construction. It could have been designed to accommodate that. There's a number of options for that. I'm not sure about the design exception. Is the design exception for the reduction of the backup space to the current standard, or are they requesting something else? Typically, I thought those waivers came here. So, and they're noticed, correct? No?
They're not noticed. Kamaria Pettismacher
Yeah.
from the City Attorney's Office. What's before this board is the new construction duplex site improvements, nothing to deal with the waivers that they're
Okay.
asking for.
Okay, so if that's the case, then Transportation does object to the site plan on the basis that they are not meeting their visitor space, because a visitor space is not possible with that dimension.
Thank you very much, sir.
And I believe they did. Anyway, I'll stop there.
Good evening. My name is Alan Dobbs. I have been sworn. I support this project. I think it's a great design solution for a relatively small site. There's just a couple details that I wanted to kind of bring to your attention. Just because of the size of the building, 18-inch overhangs I think are way too small. Buildings of this size typically have at least 24-inch overhangs, so I would highly encourage the board to recommend larger overhangs. And then also I noticed that the porch does not have rafter tails, it has a flat soffit. So the petitioner might want to think about doing rafter tails on the porch as well, just to be consistent. And then another thing is on the gable end, he did show like a barge rafter or fly rafter, but it didn't really show how it was going to be supported, if it was going to be a knee brace or a corbelled bracket or something like that. But what a lot of builders and developers do, they do, it's like ladder blocking, I think. It's where they do, running up the rake, they do members that are perpendicular to the gable end wall, and that's not appropriate. It does not look right. It looks awful. And so I'd encourage you to make sure that they don't do that when they construct it. And then the last thing I'd like to say, this isn't, I've done a lot of duplexes and attached single-family homes. This is not multifamily. This is single-family attached. And if they are fee-simple units, they're only required to have 2 parking spaces per unit. And the petitioner can verify that with the city, but I've had 2 projects recently, so I know that to be a fact. Thank you.
Any further public comment at this time? Hearing none and seeing none. The commissioners may now start asking their questions. Mr. Myers.
It would seem that, and Kamaria, how do we handle this if there seems to be conflicting information? Owner agent, is this to be a fee simple?
Absolutely. This is a fee simple project.
So, can the representative from transportation, can you clarify then whether or not this needs to be a 2 parking space or 2.5?
Single family attached is, I believe single-family attached has two standard parking spaces and a .25 visitor parking space requirement. But if you give me a few minutes, I'll verify that.
Okay, so point two,
It's .25 per unit, so therefore 2 units is .5. We round up at .5, therefore you have 1 visitor parking space to be shared between 2 units.
and in that case, if that one visitor parking space was in the unit that is farthest from the street, then it would have adequate backup space because it's,
No, the problem is that it needs to have have a 24-foot backup space, period, any visitor parking space that's
Oh, okay.
parked in front there.
and are there, is this a new requirement?
No, this has been a requirement that's been in the code for quite some time, the 24-foot backup. Now, you will see people parking behind buildings that don't have the 24-foot, but when they come in for review, we're looking for the 24-foot backup space. It's usually not an issue when people are parked, if you're front-loading off the street, the visitor parking requirement's usually not an issue.
If you're front loading
Because
up.
usually they're able to have the 18. They're usually able to find that dimension, because you can back right up into the street.
Right.
So, but when you're off an alley, you have to show the 24 feet, and it includes the alley depth. So sometimes when it gets a little tight, they don't have the 24 feet.
Okay.
And just for that is a provision that can't be, the board cannot waive that provision.
Okay, so the design exception should come, the approval of the design exception comes from?
The city.
It comes from the city, but when posing a motion to address this application, if the commissioners decide to do a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness, a condition for your certificate of appropriateness approval could be that the design exception gets approved. You can place that design exception case, and I have the number, actually I think it's on your staff report, but you could place that as a condition of approval. Because again, this is site plan specific, and the design exception obviously plays a role in what goes on that.
My understanding is if the design exception is approved, reducing the backup distance, then my objection is moot. Because they're still providing the visitor parking space, just with a less of a.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you place, depending on whatever motion you make, that's why you place it as a condition.
Okay. May I now ask about the second design exemption, which seems to have to do with the setback in the front?
That's a different, so that analysis, that's a whole separate, that's with the zoning department. So that department is addressing those issues. That's nothing for this board to take in consideration because they're going through a separate process for that.
Okay.
I hope that answers your
I
question.
have a question sort of following that. Would this, for staff, would the setbacks proposed today warrant variances if it were to come through this board?
Elaine needs it. Elaine's right there.
Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. The code allows for design exceptions for up to a certain percentage for the reduction in the setbacks. For the, I believe that would be for the AC, that would apply to the reduction in the setback he's requesting for the AC unit on the west side. The front yard setback is, the code allows for design exceptions to be made for that as long as it is, when you're in a historic district, for a front yard setback that is consistent with the adjacent, with the structures along the block, with the restriction being that it cannot come, it cannot be a greater setback than the 2 adjacent structures. So lining up the building with the one building next door would, or as close as possible with that, would be approvable at the staff level.
And what is the setback on the building next door?
Yeah, I apologize for digging that document. I didn't realize we were going to go into this detail today about it. Let me first say that the averaging of all the structures to the east, which is on this block, is less than 10 feet. The adjacent structure adjacent to the east directly is 5 feet. The existing structure is 10 feet, and it's to the face of the building. We're talking about a 10-foot setback to the porch with another 8-foot porch, so it's the structure, the massing of the structure is at 18 feet. And in previous 15 years I've been doing different developments, we've always had lot averaging approved here, but I was told by zoning that I had needed to apply for it separately, but still have you guys understand what was going on. Seems to be some different policy changes here lately, but I personally felt that we should have had the DE approved previous to coming into the board, but I was told that that was not the case, and you guys just should be aware of it. But once you've approved the project, then they would approve the DE. That was how I was told at zoning staff.
Again, Kamaria Pettismacker from the City Attorney's Office. Commissioners, you can, if you choose or desire to do a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness, you could simply place a condition that the design exception be approved. If the design exception is not approved, then that will be a different situation for this agent. But if you choose to do a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness, I would encourage you to add a condition that the design exception get approved.
What are the averages at the rear?
And that all of those considerations about the setbacks is what the zoning department is taking into consideration for the design exception.
My question is more in line with the massing of the building.
Okay.
So we meet the rear.
No, my question is actually to the owner.
The rear yard setback is 20 feet. We're at, I believe, 25, but let me check.
But just in comparison to the
20
other
feet.
properties on the street, just trying to get an
So,
idea.
yeah, so the adjacent property, again, is, every project is unique. The adjacent property, which has those 4 single garages, is only about, I'm guessing, 8 to 10 feet from the alley. And that was built, that is not an historic garage. That garage was built after. And again, I don't remember the year. I've lived in this neighborhood 22 years, so forgive me. But so the turning radius obviously doesn't apply to that structure either. But the massing of that building next door is pretty significant. The difference is it's 2 structures. We have a single structure. But I think the massing is comparable. And if I could address the visitor parking?
Does the commissioner have a question about that?
No.
Okay, all right, now, I know.
I would only point out that there is a certain elasticity in the depth of the porch. And so somewhat, between, and now I guess is this appropriate to address, I think, to my fellow commissioners?
Well, this is the questioning.
Right, okay.
phase.
So I'll wait on that.
Is there any continuing question respecting the nature of this proposal for us?
May we see the site plan, please?
Sure.
I'm sorry, this is the site plan. Yeah. Let me zoom out.
Nope, sorry, site plan. That's the first floor plan. They look very similar, I apologize.
So what is your setback from Jefferson Street to the
Right,
masonry
so
walls?
all setbacks are within the required setback, 7 feet on both the sides, 20 on the rear, and then the front is being lot averaged.
How do you access the AC units?
The wall's only about knee high, you just hop over the wall.
Okay. What are your porch materials proposed?
Sure, so the porch floor is concrete, finished, sand broom finished. I've done that previously on non-contributing structures many times. The columns are hardy board wrapped, wood hardy board wrapped. The material, of course, on the face of the whole building is hardy board lap siding. And then we'll have hardy board beadboard and hardy board trim details for the balance of the project.
And then can you confirm that all of your windows will be the same, that vinyl window specification that you showed?
Yes, they're all window. There will all be vinyl windows, yes.
Okay. And may we see the, maybe the front elevation?
Sure.
If you were to enlarge the size of the overhangs, would you still be within all of your setback requirements, or is there a reason that they're held at 18 inches?
No, we're open to increasing those to 24, which is not objective. Also, the gentleman who spoke previously, when I submitted these were not exposed raft trails. That was an error, if you can tell. I have corrected that error, and that do have exposed raft trails everywhere.
Okay, I don't have any additional questions.
What were your thoughts on the gable bracing?
I'm happy to add it. It's not a big deal.
This is just for my own information, if I may ask. When you put the hardy board over the block, is there a like a channel that goes behind that, or some kind of a framing element?
So there's an approved for product approval that you can actually directly apply it to block. You just put a waterproofing member behind it, or if you choose, you can put a small rain screen behind it. Either one is acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to check their warranties.
So it's a direct glue-on?
No, it's nailed on with a specific nail that penetrates into the
Hardy board directly to the concrete block.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
In commercial, I do it all the time.
Okay.
I have no question. Is there any further question?
I've got one last one.
Please go right at it.
Obviously, you've been working on this a very long time, but has there been any thought to minimizing the size of this structure and still being able to achieve what you're trying to achieve? It just seems like we're hitting all setbacks on all sides and even going over some. So I'd like to know your thought process there.
Well, like we all know, things are, land is getting much more expensive. And I know that's not a consideration for the board here, but I think we've tried to very hard and very successfully break the massing down of this project over again, as we presented previously, we have, I apologize here, we have what is considered the main structure, an accessory structure, and then a connector piece. All that has been recessed. I think we've been as sensitive as possible, and I think it fits within the character. The adjacent structures to the east and to the west structure being the large church. It's a very large church, 2-story, pretty much on the property line. And then this structure to the east, same thing, 5 feet off setback, large structure. This fits. Now, will this exact design fit somewhere else in the neighborhood? Maybe not, but I think it's an appropriate solution for this particular site.
Thank
Any further questions, gentlemen?
Yeah.
The applicant is allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal. You've heard a lot here tonight.
Yeah. I honestly didn't think we'd have this much discussion, but you know, this is the way it works. So I think all I really want to say is to the design exception. I thought I had really tried to do all of my due diligence prior to this, and I think there was some I think some misunderstandings, but we really are just lot averaging the front. On the visitor parking space, I was told not a problem. Just sign for design exception. I do multifamily developments on the west side outside of the historic district. Probably 15 projects. This has never been a problem. They didn't come 2 months ago when we first were here, and now transportation's here objecting to it, even though first time they weren't here, and we get design exceptions outside of the historic district all the time. I think it's bad policy, personally, between you and I, that's a requirement on a single family, semi-detached, i.e. duplex. Multifamily, 10, 12, 15 units, totally different deal, but on a 2-unit design where it's essentially a single family house, they just have the attached party wall, I think it's an inappropriate thing. Other than that, I think we have a good design. I think we've tried very, very hard to make it fit in this particular site, in this particular location with its particular adjacencies, and I really request approval tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Would you mind leaving the site plan? Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, this public hearing is closed. The commissioners will now begin discussing the case. If I may, I'd like to make one point out, just as a reminder. We've had some considered discussion about the exceptions, what their natures are, how they impact this project. That I would like to remind my fellow commissioners that the applicant, the owner, is still required to obtain all necessary approvals, and that would be also for these particular design exceptions. Now, how we wish to contend with them, whether we put them in as a condition or not address them in any approval or disapproval process, is an entirely different matter.
I would say that, the changes that have been made since the last time we saw this are very good changes.
Oh, I find them quite remarkable. This is I remember this from the last application coming through, and I find the vernacular nature of this wood finished structure to be remarkably consistent with some of the larger vernacular and older structures that you can see throughout the district. So that fit, I think, works tremendously much better.
Concern I have is the massing still. Mm-hmm. And what really concerns me as a contractor is it is single family. But what stops me as a developer of going down the street and buying every single lot and doing this on every single lot, because this one is sitting by itself. But down the road, we want these. It is a historic district, so there's
Brent,
a thought process there.
But this is a zoning question. So every single lot, well, if it's zoned for, this kind of development, this density of development, then that's kind of outside of our purview.
And
right?
I agree with that.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good.
Okay. And I feel that this is, it kind of reminds me of the Jackson House a little bit. It's this big vernacular, what appears to be a wood frame structure. It appears as though, I think it grows a little more slender. There's a little neck, which is the connector to the garage, like the garage apartment kind of stuff that, that went up behind it. I think it's very appropriate in terms of its architectural expression, particularly for a duplex, because it just looks like a big, it looks like a big house. until you see the double doors on the front. And if I may ask council, do we have to mention the design exceptions in any motion that we should make?
If you're Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the City Attorney's Office, if you're going to make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness, then yes, I would ask that you put as a condition that the application for the design exception, and that's DE1/21-158, be approved by by city zoning staff. I would ask that that's going to be as a condition if you're going to make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness. If you're going to deny the certificate of appropriateness, then there's no need to put a condition.
Do we all understand that?
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am?
I'm understanding your concerns about the massing. My specific concern is more with less so with the front facade of the house and more with the facade off of, I believe it's Jefferson, where it looks like we do have a 7-foot setback, and then we've got a 40-inch masonry wall that impedes on that 7 feet, and then even further a 60-inch masonry wall. So we're like butting right up against what appears to be the sidewalk.
I think that is a zoning concern.
It could be a zoning concern, but even when we are looking at the front facade and the side facade, it's looking clunky. And I would say inconsistent with what we're used to seeing in this district.
I feel that in this particular case, because there are in this immediate area stucco buildings that are almost at their lot lines, the church and the house that is immediately adjacent. And so as long as it meets the setbacks established in the zoning code, I feel that it's best that we leave it alone. That, and, you know, clunky or not. And it may be that bushes would improve that, I don't know. And that might make you happier, I don't, you know.
Any further comment?
I have no further comment.
Do I have a motion on this project?
Let's see here, wait a second. Okay, I move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC 21-241 for the property located at 401 East Amelia, because based upon finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Tampa Heights Historic District Design Guidelines. Oh, I have to do this with conditions, okay. With the following conditions. Can I make that modification at this point? Yes. Okay. With the following conditions: that the design exceptions are approved, and that the overhangs be increased to 24 inches.
The design exception case is DE1/21-158.
21-158.
Yes, if you could just add that into your motion.
With the condition that design exception 21-158 be approved.
Do I have a second on this motion? Hearing none, the motion fails. Do I have another motion for this project?
I move to deny a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented to this public hearing in ARC-21-241 for the property located at 401 East Amelia Avenue, because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is inconsistent with the Tampa Heights design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons. The massing proportion and building form are inconsistent with the guidelines.
Do I have a second for this motion?
I'll second that motion.
By show of hands, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Against. We're split.
So with that tie vote, this case is going to be, and staff can just reiterate which agenda this case is going to be automatically continued to.
Can we have that statement again, ma'am, please?
Because there was, I'm sorry, Kamaria Pettis-Mackle from the City Attorney's Office, because there was a tie vote, it's going to go to the next available ARC agenda.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Commissioners, Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation Staff. Our agenda for September, for the September public hearings for the ARC is currently full, so this case would need to be continued to the October 4th public hearing.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that date.
It would need to be continued to the October 4th public hearing.
I move to grant a continuance in case ARC 21-241 for the property located at 401 East Amelia Avenue to the October 4th public hearing at 6 p.m.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Continuation for ARC 21-241 to October 4th is accepted. Next up, we have ARC 21-315.
21309 is an application for new construction of an accessory structure with site improvements in the Seminole Heights Historic District. This is an accessory structure to a contributing 1915 home, and it's at the southwest corner of Sewanee and Frierson Avenue. I'm pulling up the photo presentation now. So as you can see, this is this home was present in the 1920s. It's on the corner of Frierson's to the north and Sewanee Avenue directly on its east side. You can see that there was an existing accessory structure at the very far northwest corner of the lot back in the 20s. This is the location of the subject site in the Seminole Heights Historic District. This is a photo looking at the front of the house. So we're looking west at the east facade. This is the north side of the property. And then this is looking at the south side. We're looking a little northeast here. This is the looking north. Sorry, looking. lost my orientation, excuse me. This is the south side of the property. This would be the north along Frierson Avenue, and here we are looking south into the lot. This is the rear of the house. So this is the property directly to the south. And here we are looking across the street to the north. And this is the house that's directly east across Suwannee Avenue. This is a streetscape looking to the north. And looking to the south along Suwannee. This is the alley that runs behind the property. And then this is looking out of the alley north towards Frierson. And that concludes the photo presentation. At this time, I'll ask the agent to present his case.
Good evening. My name is Alan Dobbs, 5502 North Cherokee Avenue. I have been sworn, and I am the agent for this project. I actually was working with this property owner when the project was previously approved by this board, in which at that time it had a variance, which was approved. But my client has decided to not get the variance in redoing this project. And so basically that was a height issue that we brought it down. And so now it meets all the zoning regulations. Basically it's just a two-story accessory building with parking or vehicular storage on the first floor and then living space on the second floor. I have this upside down. No, it's not right side up. Okay, so I have a larger version if this isn't clear enough, but typically in Seminole Heights, accessory buildings are justified to the rear and side property lines, and then when they're on a corner, typically they're also justified to the side street property line. But we have to meet transportation requirements, so we're actually set back 10 feet right here, and then we're 3 feet from the alley. There is an existing oak tree right here that was much smaller back when this project was previously approved, so I did warn my client that we'll have to kind of work with natural resources with that tree. And then, so obviously the vehicular access is from Frierson, from the north, and then the pedestrian access is from the house and also from this drive. So we have some stairs that go up the side here and then a little stacked porch right here. You can kind of see that a little bit in the sort of the first floor plan and the second floor plan. And then the massing, which you'll see in the elevations, a gable that faces the street and then a smaller gable over the porch. Sometimes these accessory buildings, the overhangs would extend a little bit further over the stairs, but it always looks a little odd, so we decided not to do that. But instead we'll have some sort of gutter or something along here to contain the rainwater. A couple other things on the site. The existing electric is right here, so we're going to relocate it over to here and then backfeed it underground. All the fencing is going to remain or be just slightly modified to match existing, and really it's just this one section right here. And then the air conditioning unit, there's going to be a small mini split, so that unit will be underneath the stairs, but there's an existing fence here, so it will be out of the view of the public. So these are all basically drawings that are part of the drawings that were submitted. I just blew them up a little bigger so I could put them on this projector here. So the roof form is similar to the existing house with a relatively steeper roof at 7 and 12. It has 2x8 barge rafters and knee braces and gable end vents. All that we're picking up from the existing house. The siding is hardy, smooth siding, but we're going to do a woven butt joint on the corner, so we're not going to have any corner boards. And then the windows will be similar to the existing, and I have some details of that. It has a little bit more of elaborate molding on top, which we're going to replicate that. And then the garage doors, it's a double wide garage door, obviously, and we're going to do it in sort of a carriage house type garage door where it appears as 2 doors. And then we have 2 lights that will cast a parabolic light pattern on the garage doors, sort of reinforcing like it's 2 doors side by side. There is a small flare here, and which the house has, so we're picking up on that. And then we're minimally above the grade to meet stormwater requirements of being 12 inches above the ground of the road. You can see the stairs here on the side. These are actually set back a little bit. They're going to be all wood stairs with 4x4 newel posts and 2x2 pickets and a wood top rail and bottom rail. This is the side that faces the house, which is east. Again, you can see how the stairs are kind of configured to get you up to this porch here. Again, you can kind of see the knee braces. Again, that picks up on the house. This light here, we're going to have another light here that provides lighting for the stair, which is required by code. All the windows are 1/1 to match the house. And then, again, you can see the guardrail and the pickets. These are 7x7 posts, and they're actually hollow or manufactured box columns, so they'll have a threaded rod right in the middle for tie down. The roof is 5V crimp. You'll see what I believe you saw in the photos, but I have some additional photos. 5V crimp galvalume finish to match the house, and 2x6 rafter tails with 2x8 barge rafters on the end, which is typical. Forgot I printed these on both sides. Let me flip this over. So this is the south elevation that faces inward. We actually have a single garage door that will allow my client, if they have a boat or another car, they can pull it all the way through the vehicle and park it in the backyard. The doors, pedestrian doors, those are just a Craftsman style door. I modified the design a little bit from what's in your package, and I have detailed information on these doors. These little wall sconces we're doing at the porch instead of a ceiling mounted light. And again, you see the small gable picking up in the bigger gable. And one of the staff comments was, I didn't have anything shown here. This is basically going to be the same siding that picks up on the siding of the house. And then also, the front porch has this sort of layered banding at the beam. And so we're picking up on that detail. And again, I have some more detailed information on that. The last elevation is the alley. It's just basically the same as the one on the other side, but we do have, this is basically just a half of one of these windows so that you have a little bit of privacy and security on the alley side here. The roof details, basically, we have a 24-inch overhang to match the existing house. We have bird blocking, which is perpendicular to the rafter tail, which will have a small round vent in it. And they'll have 3/4 inch tongue and groove finished wood. Again, that will match the house, and then it will have 1/2 inch plywood over that. And these tails are notched to receive the 3/4 inch so that it planes out for the sheathing when it goes on top. And then, of course, you have an overhang here for a drip so the water doesn't run down the face of the rafter tail and rot it out prematurely. And then this shows the kind of the beam details, just a wood beam clad with either wood or hardy, and then the wood column. It says 6x6, but it's really 7x7. getting into the wall section, I already talked about the roof detail. It's similar, obviously, at the conditioned space, but then you have a 2x4 frame wall with the hardy lap siding. The floor structure is just 14-inch open web System 42 floor trusses. And then we have a gold bolt or threaded rod tie down system, which I think it's much better than straps, and contractors seem to like it better. And then it'll have a 3-course stem wall and a floating slab inside the garage. Garages are required by code to have a slope, and doing a floating slab is typically the best way to do that, but it does leave a little bit of a raised wall here. I do have 2x6 frame walls on the first floor, just to kind of minimize that offset there. And then you can see how that flare kind of works at the bottom, and then there's a continuous 2x4 PT that runs along the bottom, and then this will just have stucco on it, and then the grade sloping away from the building. This is a section through the gable at the porch. So basically we have our 2x barge rafter. You know, we have the soffit, underside of the soffit, the V-groove, the beam tail detail I talked about, the wood guardrail. This flooring is going to just be open like porch decking, so water will come through here. And then the columns, again, that's notice correct, 7-inch square columns. And then you have a monolithic slab with the thickened edge for the pick up the load of the column. And then you see the 2x6 frame wall there. So this shows the knee braces, 2x8 barge rafter, and this shows that sort of layered banding at the gable, and it has a water table here. That's 3/4, and then that's 3/4. But obviously we're not doing this large column on the accessory structure. And then on the gable end, you can see you have the knee brace, and then the gable end bench, again, we'll be replicating that. On the back of the house, you can see that it used to have a porch, which is very typical of these houses in Seminole Heights, but it got enclosed, again, typical of all the houses in Seminole Heights. But you can see that same sort of banding that's on the front porch is on this back porch, and it goes all the way around to the side and then returns back here. And again, you can kind of see the knee braces and the gable end vent, and then the typical window, which I'll get into in a minute. This is where that other picture was taken about right here, but you can see 2x6 rafter tails with 5V crimp metal roofing, and then this sort of shows the front gable, and then more of the 5V crimp. The pedestrian door that I had on the garage, this is it's just kind of a craftsman style door that has the 3x2 light pattern with the 2 panels down below. I think in the drawings that y'all have, it showed 1/1, but I have revised that on the drawings I am presenting tonight and also here. So all the windows on this house are 1/1, except this special window in the front, which has these divided lights. And you can see the sort of wavy float glass there, which is very nice. The windows we're proposing, it's sort of like a standard window I use on most of my projects. It's a Sierra Pacific. It's called H3, and it's H for hybrid, and it's 3 because it combines the best properties of 3 materials: aluminum cladding on the outside frame, and also on the sashes, which have a very simple putty glaze profile to them. The jamb liners are vinyl, and then the interior of the window is wood. But their profile of the sashes and details are very similar to the existing windows. This is a pair of windows, obviously, but you can see the little bit more of a heavier crown molding detail on the top of the window, which we're picking up on that. That's one of the unique character defining features of this house, which is different than a lot of the houses in Seminole Heights, because Seminole Heights was more of a middle-class sort of suburb when it was built back in the 20s, unlike Hyde Park. I mentioned the carriage house type door. This is Clopay. It's their Canyon Ridge series, which is used a lot on the projects in the historic districts. The lighting, you saw the sort of gooseneck round light, pendant lights over the garage doors, so there's a detailed picture of it. And then the wall sconces by the doors, I think we're just going to replicate and match this light right here on those two doors. But both of those doors are really not within the public realm. They sort of face north. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. Staff finds that this application is consistent with the design guidelines for Seminole Heights, and there were very few conditions for this application, and I feel that the applicant has addressed them. So I am available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will proceed. We can begin questioning.
I have no questions.
Sir?
I have none.
I have none.
And I have none. Questions complete. The applicant is indeed allowed 5 minutes rebuttal.
Well, I put up the site plan for you guys, but oh well. Okay. No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, this public hearing is closed. We are open for our discussion. Ladies and gentlemen.
I have no comments.
I move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC 21-309 for the property located at 5120 North Swanee Avenue, because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Seminole Heights design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons. The accessory structure is appropriately scaled, and it is consistent. The setbacks are consistent with the district.
Do I have a second on this motion?
I second the motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? None. Certificate of appropriateness approved for ARC 21-309. Let us proceed now to the last item on our agenda, which is ARC 21-353.
Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. ARC 21-353 is an application located at 509 East Sparkman Avenue in the Tampa Heights Historic District. This is a request for new construction of a primary structure and an accessory structure with site improvements. There is an existing building on this site that was constructed in 1912, but it is considered non-contributing due to the alterations that have occurred to it over the years. Moving to the photo presentation, here you can see the map of the Tampa Heights Historic District, and the subject property is about midway down the district to the further to the east, very close to the interstate interchange. This is the 1920 Sanborn map showing the subject property in green. You can see that it's at the corner of Sparkman Avenue and Grove Avenue. The red line just to the right of it is indicative of the boundary for the local historic district. And this is the present day aerial. You can see again the property at the corners of Sparkman and Grove. Central Avenue is to the west. And the interstate interchange is just to the east there. This is the front of the existing building, so we're looking south at the site. This is looking at the front and the west side of the existing building. This is looking at the site and the existing building from Grove Avenue. And then looking at the rear of the existing structure, you can also see a bit of the accessory structure that's on the site there. And then these are the existing accessory structure on the site. Just to the south of this site, I believe there's an alley running behind this lot. You're looking at the rear of the house that faces Amelia Avenue. This is across Grove. You're looking at, I believe this is 601 Sparkman Avenue. And then there's the site of that structure. So this would be directly across Grove from the subject site. Looking northeast, this is a non-contributing building in the historic district. And then this is the building directly to the west of the subject property. And then looking to the north, directly across Sparkman, are two recently constructed buildings that were approved by this board. This is the view looking west along Sparkman. This view is looking east toward the interstate. Here we are looking north along Grove. It's Florabraska Avenue in the distance. And here looking south on Grove. And at this time, I'll ask the agent to come forward and present the application.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Wendell Black, general contractor for Winter Construction, agent for the Hill family who owns the property. I've been sworn. Starting with the site plan.
You can do whatever you want to with this roller here.
Okay, this is our proposed site plan. Zoning requirements, have to contact them. They're requiring 7 feet between the properties, 7 feet on the street side, 25 on the front. As far as the rear of the property, they require 20 on the rear unless there's a privacy fence. Then they'll allow for 3 feet. And if it's open railing, 4 feet on the rear. The one thing that we've done to the house since our preliminary review is we've increased the size of the front porch to 8 feet. We checked with the adjacent house and it sets back about 17 feet, so that allowed us to add 2 feet to the front wraparound porch. We also set the house to our inner 7-foot setback, which gave us a little more clearance on the outside, on the street side, which we have 9 feet. The rear of the house, we have a 2-car garage, a concrete driveway up to the garage. The owners of this particular house wanted originally stone on the front face of the house. There wasn't much of agreement on that, so we said, well, maybe we can go with the brick. But we're open to put the siding. The one thing that was said about having brick on the face is we have to find similar property with that component on the house, which we'll just run siding down the front. And that's what we're showing here. We have 5V crimp metal roof, single hung windows, fixed windows. The front door will be a composite, full light on the front. On our, originally we had our 3 windows adjoining, based on the community. Those windows are separated. Our first floor be block, and so we went with 8 inches between our windows, and we'll wrap the windows and in between the windows with hardy. I actually brought some hardy examples so you guys can see them. I don't know if you can see them in there or not, but so you kind of see what we're talking about. On the rear of the house, we have 2 bathrooms on the rear. We have fixed windows there. We have mullions. Those mullions actually are on the outside face of the glass, so we have that covered. French doors off the master. Off the kitchen, we have a full light single door, and then we have single hung windows above the countertops. On the front elevation, the columns are actually block columns with a smooth stucco finish. The beam going across the top will be wrapped with hardy. And then our gables, we have siding, hardy siding, as well as the front and the front, lower, and upper floor. We have hardy siding. All the windows will be wrapped with hardy plank. Our garage door would just be a standard metal panel door. We have 2 coach lights, and we're going to copy that on the front of the house as well. We're thinking of something wrought iron, black. And we'll match up the lock set for the front door and rear to our lights. On our wall section, after our conversations about the front facade, we're showing siding from the front porch up. The house itself is set on a stem wall with a stem footer. Like I said before, block first floor, 6-inch, 2x6 frame second floor. And then we have wood trusses through the floor system. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, sir.
Question?
Staff, may we have your report, please?
Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation Staff. Staff finds this application consistent with the Tampa Heights Design Guidelines. We did have a few conditions in there, basically details on the overall design that we felt needed a little additional attention. I believe the agent has addressed some of them, but you may want to review some of the particular details a little more closely as you go through your questioning this evening. And with that, I am available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. The floor is now open for public comment. Seeing none and hearing none, we will proceed to our fellow commissioners for questioning. Floor is open.
I'm going to run through a couple of the items on the conditions, so you might have already heard this, but just for clarification. There's a note that says to correct drafting errors on elevations for the porch beam to show the smooth finish and on the grouped windows to show the trim. So on the front elevation, I did notice the trim. I'm not sure I noticed the porch beam. So you've got 3 windows sort of ganged together, and typically we'd see like a trim around and separating them rather than seeing that siding in between them.
There won't be siding. That was just an architectural error.
Perfect.
But yeah, there'll be hardy planks between and a band consistent with the other windows that will wrap it.
Perfect. There's another note that says consider lowering the band board between the first and second stories so that it is under the first story roof.
The band will be at top of block, which is 10 feet. The front roof bears at 10 feet, so it will actually.
It'll align.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have like actual specifications at this point for your windows and doors? Did I miss them?
The garage door.
I saw the garage door.
The doors will be composite. Therma-Tru doors are windows will be the single. I don't know if you can see that or not, but these are actual windows from a supplier that we'll have. These are the single hung. And these are our fixed windows.
And are those, do those include the simulated divided lights as opposed to the grills on your glass?
The grid is actually simulated on the face, outside face.
Okay. I just missed this because the detail was small for us. What is the dimension of your overhang of the roof?
The overhang is 16. Well, it varies actually. The overhang on the hip is 18 inches. And then on the gable, we have 12 inches.
I don't have any additional questions.
Gentlemen? will begin with one on my point. Sir, could you please pull up the, your east and your west elevations for us? Which would be your side elevations? This one in particular, I note that the AC system you have in this yard is to be entirely screened with landscaping material. Is that your intention?
Right.
And of course, if I'm not mistaken, this is all basically a floating slab on grade stem wall system for your foundation.
Right. It'll be based on the elevation of the road.
So this is all going to be a stucco finish from basically that, that slab line down.
Right, from finished floor down.
Mm-hmm.
Could you show us the elevation, excuse me, could you show us the elevation along Grove?
Along,
Grove Street? I think that's, am I getting this right? There's one of these which is a, okay, so that elevation is a little more
We have
active. Excuse me, go ahead.
we have a wraparound porch. The owner's, she's gonna have a little table out there. So we put doors on the side there. Right next to that, we have a laundry room. And then in the rear, first floor, that's a bathroom window that you see there. And then we have 2 windows for that upper bedroom. That Grove Street faces 75. Or
Okay.
275, yeah. So I think you saw the other house that was on that side as well.
All right, thank you very much.
Let's stay with this elevation here, sir, please, just as a footnote. How are you going to be accomplishing, if at all, attic ventilation on this? I notice that there is no venting system shown on your gable ends.
What we have is, we actually have vented soffit, or vented soffit. That we use.
Thank you very much.
What is the width of the trim around your windows and doors?
We're showing 4 inches around the windows and doors.
And that detail on the windows was kind of small. The windows are recessed, correct?
Yeah, the second floor, first floor.
Both.
Normally on the second floor, we don't recess them. I mean, we can, but we normally don't. The first floor, they are recessed. We got a precast seal that we'll set it to.
Do you have an example of your garage door that you're planning to use?
I didn't bring other than my detail that I have on here, I didn't bring a, but this is the actual garage door that we'll put on the house, on the garage.
Is that garage door going to be entirely solid, or will there only be glass panels in them?
Say that again now?
Is it going to be an entirely a solid face on this garage door, or are any of these sections here going to have a glass light in them?
Currently, no. It faces the side street, so we don't have any glass on it.
Understood.
I've got one last question. Would your client be amenable to, you know, the thought process of potentially looking at some other alternative, maybe some glass in the garage door, wider soffits.
Wait, you want 24 inch?
I'm just trying to get an idea before we go into discussion. If
Yeah, we can put lights in the in the top of the garage door. I don't think that would be an issue.
Okay.
Any further questions?
I have none.
None? Sir? Thank you very much. The applicant is currently allowed now 5 minutes for rebuttal for any points made.
My client told me the other day whatever I want to do on the outside of the house is fine with her, so whatever take you want.
Sounds good. At this point in time, the public hearing is closed. The commissioners will discuss the case. Ladies first.
Thank you. I would like to talk about the windows on the second floor and the overhang with our panel, if you have any thoughts.
The only real thought I have, and I had to check myself earlier while I was reviewing these documents as they were coming up on the screen, and the one thing that I have to be reminded of is that the proposal tonight is for a relatively modest home. It's not grand in its plan. It's not intended to be ostentatious in its planning. It's just meant to be, I don't want to say necessarily a humble, but a very solid and capable dwelling. Little things like a little bit of the window proportions, which we would discuss on a grander home, you know, I don't think really apply here because there's not a whole lot of room to wiggle with these things. It's a small floor plan with limited availability as to how far or how close you can put windows together, how tall they can be. That affects everything. Now, that being said, I do think that the overall presentation of the windows and the doors are well placed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with their placement at all. Although I think, you know, maybe a French door might be a little bit too skinny, but I understand the wall pocket that it is in. So I don't have a problem with that.
My question is more, we typically request that the placement in the wall of the windows on the first floor be consistent on the second floor.
Yes, consistency on that I think is a really important thing.
Okay.
I mean, you get to see those shadow lines, and
Yes.
it's odd that they don't match.
And in his defense, that's typical of new construction these days, but I think that's what we're trying to not
Right,
create.
that would be typical construction, and that's why we review it. Do you think a 12-inch overhang is sufficient for this home?
That's only on the gable. Oh, I'm sorry.
I could honestly see it deeper.
I think my initial thought would be to just say consider it and work it out with staff.
Yeah,
I
I think
agree.
that would be a wise move. Perhaps the best way to handle that, even though you know, we have the gable ends, and then we have the hip ends, and we have the raked ends. Maybe they should all have the same, you know, overhang value, regardless of what it is. That way, that won't strike an odd balance.
There's not been much discussed about the water table on the front facade.
I'd be willing to open that.
I believe that the agent suggested that the water table would go away, and that it would be just siding straight down to the.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
noted in.
But
Yeah.
we have a note here from staff, so That's why I wanted to
We
bring it up.
condition it, yeah, so that it's consistent on the drawings.
Now, I understand from the applicant's and the agent's discussion of why this came into play, something that the client would like to have. And I still think that there are some opportunities to, if you will, if you wanted to bring in a brick-like element into your construction for this. I could see an opportunity where you have your concrete porches front and rear. I could see that brick stamped and stained as an example. Or as another alternative, I could, since you have around both the accessory building and your new building, this, if you will, this low stucco band, which is, finishing your
Stem wall.
Your foundation, I could see that brick scored and painted as well. So there's opportunities to bring this the brick element into your planning without having to deal with this water table element that does not continue around the whole of the building. It's just there on the front. And once you hit to the side streets and along your neighboring side, that produces a big disconnection. And I think it's more of a detraction from this basic dwelling that you have here than an addition to. There are other opportunities, I think, that you should explore on that matter.
I could even incorporate some into the columns, but
I don't know how that would work very well. I mean, the whole plan is that there's going to be that wood shaft from top to bottom. I do appreciate the massing of those, though. I mean, that's well done. That works out very well, I think.
I just feel like the water table, as much as I appreciate what we're trying to do, what they're trying to achieve,
But if it stays, if everything stays the same as it is right now, I would rather see no brick water table siding all the way down.
I agree.
My only other note was to just consider a more appropriate light and hardware selection for the district. Those were a little bit more ornate. Nothing specific, just to sort of find something that's
Something more arts and crafts on its scale as opposed to
more ornate.
Regent.
Yeah, yeah. It's just,
In other words, simplify it to match along the simplification of the dwelling and the accessory building.
right.
I could see that point as well, too.
It's a
Little
plan
detail.
that's simple, but yet it presents very well because it is simple.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and I think it's appropriate in that fashion. Any other further comment?
No.
Do I have a motion for this project?
I move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC 21-353 for the property located at 509 East Sparkman Avenue with the following conditions: that the hardware and lighting be reconsidered to be more appropriate with the historic district, that the second floor windows are recessed to be consistent with the first floor, that the overhangs be considered and worked out with staff, that the drawings be updated to reflect the final water table design, which is approved by staff, that the drawings are corrected to reflect the porch beam with a smooth finish and the grouped windows to show trim, and to update the drawings to reflect the correct location of the band board between the first and second stories so that it is under the first story roof. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Tampa Heights design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons: that the alignment, site coverage, massing, and facade proportions are consistent with the guidelines.
Do I have a second for this motion?
A second.
Before we proceed, Mr. Black, do you understand and accept that these conditions as presented to you this evening?
Yes.
You will proceed. All those in favor for this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? None? Motion passes for the certificate of appropriateness with conditions for ARC 21-353. That concludes our business for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Please come blow your horn. Little boy blue. Please come blow your horn. My baby gone and left me. She left me all